get that up. Yeah, well, first off, I wanted to say that I really appreciate you coming on and taking the time. I wanted to ask, do you know Greg Sutton?
Yeah, I met him a few times. The first times I started to train with the Impact, he was a goalkeeper in 2000. Well, in 2012, he was the third goalkeeper, and I trained with them a few times. So remember him giving me gloves when I was at the academy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I met him a few times here and there. After that too, he would be around the team when I was there. So yeah, I'm not very close to it, but
Yeah.
I know him a little bit. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say because I played for him at Concordia.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I know he's
yeah.
a coach there. Yeah.
Yeah. So to kind of start off the podcast, if you just want to kind of introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your kind of like past playing career, and then we can kind of get into the couple questions revolving kind of the mental side of
Yeah.
football and sport.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm Jason. I'm a former soccer player. I just decided to stop playing a few months ago. Before that, I played 3 years as a pro, 2 years with the Impact when they were called they were called still the Impact, and last year with the HFX Wanderers in Halifax. So that was a amazing experience to be living my childhood dream of like playing in the pros. Even though it didn't go as planned, a lot of challenges, but I'm really happy it happened. And before that, I played 4 years at the University of New Mexico, where I got my degree in engineering, as well as being playing in the good D1 program in the NCAA. And yeah, that was possible because I went through the Montreal Impact Academy system and the FC Beaulieu club before that. So that's a quick way to go through all the teams I played for basically. And yeah, I spent a few weeks in Ottawa too, the Ottawa Fury, and other clubs here and there, but those were the main ones.
Awesome, awesome. So now to kind of kick off a little bit of the questions. So kind of the goal of this podcast is to talk about the mental side of sport and also life, of how I feel like it's important to kind of keep the idea of you should always go for what you feel to be important in life and never settle, because I think a lot of times people get afraid of failing when failing is really just the first step. And as I feel like as long as you go for what you want, even if it doesn't work out the way you want or you don't reach it, it's still a success because you had that courage to get there. So I think my first question for you is mentally and also as well physically, when you were warming up for matches, what was kind of the process that you go through?
For me, the warm up and let's say the full day before a game, it was always about making me feel like it's game day. So it needed to be always the same for me. I had a tight routine for the day, and I have a walk before, and like a like let's say the 3 hours before the game were pretty similar every time. It would vary throughout the years, but like week to week it would be pretty similar. I had my warm up that I liked a lot, that I like bring with me with different coaches, different teams. I would always warm up the same before games. And it's just like it's not really like it's the best warm up or it's the best way to be ready for. It's more about when I do this, I know it's time for a game. And I feel the same every time. So there's no excuse like, oh, my warm up was not good today, or oh, I didn't do my walk, or oh, I'm not focused today. Like if I did everything, there's no, those excuses don't exist anymore. Like I'm in the game mode. So it was really important for me to do that. It's a little bit like when taking a goal kick for me. I always have my same routine. The ball it's easy because the ball is stopped. You have all the time you need. So my routine will always be the same, so that the result will always be the same in that situation. So yeah, that's how I would approach the game.
Awesome, awesome. And so my next question is because something that I found inspiring about yourself is that you dealt with, I believe, a knee injury, right? For about 6 months, right?
Yeah, it was 2019. Yeah, it started in 2018. About in August, I started to feel some pain in the left knee. I passed some scans, saw some doctors, and they didn't see anything really. And it was only in the January of 2019, so just before the camp started, like a few days before the started, that I saw a specialist that told me I had a tumor in the knee, so it needed to be taken out eventually, like in the next few years. So that was really disappointing because I was going in the season where I was expecting to play. I had been loaned out to Ottawa Fury per my request. I asked to go play there because I wanted to play some pro games. I saw the year before Max Kripo go there and do very well, and that did well for his career. So I wanted to do basically the same and go in the USL and play games to be able to bounce back after. So that was not possible because I had to get the surgery, and I was out for about 6-7 months until July before I could be on the field and try to stutter back on the field. Basically, like it was very difficult to come back because I felt I could play at the same level, but I really couldn't.
Mhm.
So it was like a slow process to come back, including a few weeks in Ottawa. I still went there to train, but that was the end of the season, so I didn't get to play there. So yeah, that was a big setback in my development and career, and I was already 20, 25 at the time. So that was pretty late, like in the in the years of goalkeeper to start playing, So yeah, it was not the right time for sure.
Yeah, and so my thing about that is that what is at least I took from inspiration from that was that you were still able to come back from that and still go to Halifax and stay at that professional level. So my thing going through that, how was your mentality? Because I'm sure that there were some moments that, like you said, were very difficult. How did you find a way to stay positive in something that, a lot of people would like just stay negative in?
Yeah, but well, like first of all, the during my time being injured, I was with the Impact at the time, and the conditions were like first class. Really, like I had everything I needed. I had physio every day at the gym when I need him. We had the pool, like all the facilities. I could see the doctor anytime I want. Like it was like I really felt I was taken care of, and like if there was a way to come back from this stronger, like I had everything I needed. So that was like a good motivation because I knew Sheehan McBride, who was working for the Impact as a physio, like he would push me every day, and I would see improvements every day. So it's not like I was just sitting at home and waiting. Like I could see day to day doing better exercises, having a better range of motion. So it was more about a time where I would put my head down and just work what the physio would ask me on that day, even though if it's not very exciting to do 10 rounds of leg extension on the machine, like it's not very fun.
Mhm.
But it was more about like, okay, what's the challenge today? What do we have planned for me? It's I didn't decide anything. Basically, it was them making the plan, and I was just okay, let's do it. And then I think I was really good to just push every day and having that attitude of if you ask me something, I'm gonna do it the best I can.
Mhm.
And yeah, after the season, there was a big like questioning for me because I told the coaching staff the same thing. I wanted to play the following year. I was getting to 26-year-old where I had to play, but they told me they wouldn't loan me. So I asked myself questions of like what I wanted to do, and because I didn't play the first 2 years of my career, I wanted to go somewhere and play. And I looked up everywhere, like in USL and even in France a little bit. But when Halifax called, like that was the call I was waiting because I had friends over there and they told me amazing things about Halifax, and I knew it was a new league. I found it exciting at home, a city that I wanted to visit. So it was really exciting to go there and come back. And I was really planning on winning MVP there and being very good. And like, of course, it didn't work out that way, but I was super pumped to go there and come back from that injury.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I believe August 15th you played Pacific, and that was, I believe, your first game there, I think, from the research I did.
Yeah, I don't remember the date, but that that sounds correct.
And so talk about that feeling. Like how did it feel through? Because I always have noticed, and throughout my career, I'm an aspiring professional as well, and I
Yeah,
hopefully to reach that one day. And I've had a lot of setbacks as well, not so much injuries, but just learning and growing. And I've always found that no matter how big the setback seemed at that time, as long as I stayed consistent with a positive attitude and kept going, that next step was always obtainable. And it feels so much sweeter because you kind of are like, all right, like I had to go through all this and I'm here now. So talk a little bit about what that felt like to kind of get out there after that injury and being out for so long.
yeah, I agree. Like doing something difficult is a lot more beneficial, or like it feels better than doing something easy. And so when you have setbacks, it makes it more difficult. So when you accomplish it, it's very satisfying. So for me to play my first pro year, like pro game at 26 years old, like it's very late. But I did it, and I'm really proud of that. I played a few games, even though it was not a full season because of the pandemic, and now we played in the tournament. So yeah, I'm really proud I did that. The first few minutes were felt very weird because I hadn't been on the field for like a real game for almost 3 years. It was like more than 1,000 days that I didn't play in a game. So it felt really weird. But then, like when I touched my first ball, I felt so confident, and I had a decent game actually. Like I felt really good, and I did almost everything well. We conceded 2 goals, but it was like difficult goals. I was still maybe in my prime, or when I was at my best level, I could save those, but was hard goals. So I felt I had a good game, and I was really proud to be able to perform like that after such a long time outside the field. So yeah, that it really felt really good, and I was confident to go in the next games.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, to kind of bring it back a little bit, throughout your college years, playing college soccer and also getting a degree, was your goal always to go back and play at the professional level, or did you kind of say, all right, if it works out, it works out, or what was kind of the mindset during those years?
Yeah, for me, it was always school and soccer doing 100% on, like it was just a different time of the day. So when I was on the field, I would give everything on the field. Like it's not, there was no plan A, plan B. It was
Mhm.
really like both at the same time. And with soccer, it's easy because it's only like a 2 hour block in the day. So you give everything on the field then, and then I had the rest of the day to go to school and give everything over there too. So for me, it was never a choice until I signed pro, of course, because then it's a full time job. But
Mhm.
so yeah, but for me, I always did both at the same time, and I was hoping to come back in MLS, hopefully with the Impact, because
Mhm.
I knew everyone there, and I was in contact with them, and they told me they wanted me to come back. Where when it was Youssef, the goalkeeper coach, when it was Jack Stern, the goalkeeper coach, and then Mauro Biello, I was always in contact with them, and they always bring me back in the summer to train. So I knew they liked me a lot, and they wanted to bring me back eventually. But then they all got fired. They weren't there anymore. So I was really grateful that still be able to come back with Adam Braz that knew me a little bit, but not really. So I was really grateful that that could happen. If it didn't, I would probably have gone to USL and play a few years. But I'm really happy to have experienced the MLS level.
No, that's awesome. So, hearing your story is really inspiring, at least for me. And I always kind of, I always watched the impact a lot, especially too because I was born in the States, but my family's actually from Quebec, so I always kind of had that, like very passionate about that. So
Yeah.
that's really cool to see. So my next question, and we'll wrap it up soon because I know it's late and I know you probably have stuff to do. But so throughout your career, how important did you find mindset all the way, say, from college days to your time as a professional? How important was mindset for you?
Well, I think like especially for younger players, I think it's everything basically. I always tell I'm coaching still, and I've always enjoyed coaching, and I always tell the kids I'm coaching when they're 12, 13 years old, the level you have at this very moment is has nothing to do with the level you have at 18. So if you're not really good right now and you don't play, because I started being a goalkeeper at 12, which is pretty late. If you're not the goalkeeper you want or the player you want at 12, and you give everything and you work hard throughout the difficulties, you'll still be able to make it pro. Mm-hmm. And if you're the best player right now, you're in the group of goalkeepers I have, and you're the best, and clearly you're playing double A and you're winning tournaments and everything, and you stop working, or you think you're already good, and when there's a difficulty, you complain because you think you're owed something, then you won't make it pro. Like I know so many players that were way better than me at 12, 13-year-old, and they were the best in Canada, 13-year-old or whatever, and they never made it even close to be a pro. So if you have that mindset of I'm the best and I don't need to work anymore because I'm better than everyone else, it's going to be very difficult, and you're not going to make it. And of course, you need some kind of arrogance of saying I'm good and I can make it, but it needs to come with some humility of if I don't work, someone else is going to do it, and he's going to improve more than me. So I think for the development phase, it's really important. And then once you're in that pro environment, and I include college in that because it's basically a pro environment, you're on a scholarship. The coach is telling us, like, if you don't perform, like, I only have a certain amount of scholarships. They're not going to pay you if you're not performing on the field, because it's basically a way of paying you. Then it's a different kind of pressure that if you can't handle being paid or having to return something, to feel comfortable with that, I feel you need to do everything in your power to give back the best. If you cut corners and then you don't perform, it's going to be very difficult to ask to be paid for doing what you do. It's like they expect things from you, so you better do everything you can to be at your best.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I can relate to that a little bit as well. I had my first preseason with USL this past preseason, and I found that a lot of times the players that were really good early on kind of faded away because of that lack of effort. And the reason kind of why I started this podcast was because even though I'm not exactly where I want to be yet, I was still never supposed to make it this far, I guess, if you will. So I always was the person. I always try to tell people that in any way I can, that I was never talented. I think I was just talented at working hard, and I think that that's what really helped me along the way, because I don't think I was necessarily like gifted or anything, but I think that hard work, consistency, and that self-belief is what kind of helps keeping me move along. So to kind of wrap it up here, I was just interested to hear from you along your career. Have you had anyone that has doubted you, or doubts? How did you handle them from a mental perspective? And I'm just interested to hear, because I know a lot of younger players probably have doubt themselves sometimes, and there might be doubts around them. So I think it would be cool to hear from someone of your stature that kind of perspective.
Yeah, there was a lot of people doubting me, of course. Like I said, I started being a goalkeeper at 12 years old, so of course my 12 to 14, 12 to 15, I was not the best. I was just starting out. So I never made the Team Quebec. I never made the Team Canada. I was not taken in my high school sport and study program in my first year. They cut me from the group. I was second goalkeeper at the Quebec's game for Laurentide. So I was cut or not taking a lot of times, and out of all this group, I'm one of the few that made it pro. A lot of the guys were a lot better. We're taking first year in sport and studies, and we're taking to Team Quebec all the way to 18-year-old, and never ended up making it. So that was really hard, especially around the age of 14, 15, 16, where I saw my whole team basically be on Team Quebec, and I was one of the few staying in Beaulieu and doing practices, and we're like 6 guys, because we had a really good team. So like half the team was on Team Quebec too. So that was like the feeling of being left out and not being with the good group. I was with the bad group. So I wouldn't say it motivated me, but of course, when you're in that position, you have no excuse not to work. Like if you're not going to work, you better be the best by far. If
Yeah.
you're so I was that was not the case. So I really had to be the most focused and the most prepared guy on the field, because I was playing with guys that were supposedly a lot better than me. So I think that increased my growth from, let's say, I think between 15 and 18. That's when for me everything exploded, and where I reached a level where I was really close to be a pro.
Mhm.
And it's really only at 18-year-old where I said, "Wow, it's actually possible." I went like from one of the least like one of the worst guy on the team, basically, or a normal guy on the team, to basically be one of the best of my generation for the guys born in '94.
Mhm.
So that was really satisfying to be doubted all my teenage years, and finally at 18, my name was in the talks to make
Mhm.
it pro. Um, and still at that time, a lot of a lot of people doubted me, and told that they choose other goalkeepers. They choose Max Capo to sign at the Impact, which is a great choice. But that was another setback for me to say, okay, like I'm close, but I'm still not quite there, and to
Mhm.
go to university, because that's where I could play and go to school at the same time and still make it pro after.
Mhm.
So yeah, a lot of people doubted me, and I think it's the case for most people. I think everybody feels doubted when they're not selected first, or
Mhm.
they um, and if you take it as as an insult, maybe that's fine. If it makes you work harder. If you take it as an insult and you complain, you probably won't make it. So
Mhm.
it's all about, like you said, it's all about the mindset and how you take things.
Definitely, and I think that's cool. I think as humans, it's sorry, it's special that we can see the perspective, and we can choose how we decide to see whatever comes to us, because I had a similar thing when growing up. A lot of my friends and we were with the New England Revolution Academy, and so a lot of my friends made it. I was training with them for 3 years, and finally the coach is like, this is going to be your year to make the team, and then someone else ended up coming in and not making it. And I remember that gutting feeling of, wow, like I was so close. But after that, I honestly, for me, that was a huge changing point, because I was like, listen, like, I'm going to email every academy on the East Coast. I don't care what happens. And I ended up doing that. A couple got back to me, and I ended up like sleeping in a car just to go to training and school. And but all throughout that, it made me a better player. So I've always found that interesting. I always like to see and hear other people's stories about that. But that's pretty much it for this episode. I really appreciate you taking your time. I don't want to take up too much of it, but I really sincerely appreciate you coming on. And I also wanted to say that I think I read somewhere that you're starting your engineering journey, and I just wanted to I don't know, is that right? Or
Yeah, I'm in the transition now. So I started doing a master's back in the tournament last year when I was at the Island Games. I
Mhm.
started an online master's, and I actually started this week on Monday a job in structural engineering. So now the transition is complete, and I'm really happy about it. Like I see the guys at the camps, or the pre-camp right now, and I wouldn't want to be there. Like I really feel I gave everything I had, and I didn't love it as much anymore. So I was just playing because I wanted to play games and prove that I could do it, but I
Mhm.
was not in with the same love or the same passion. So that's exactly when I knew I had to stop. I
Mhm.
was not at a level where I was excited to play at anymore. And so that was always the deal for me. Whenever I didn't like it, I stopped. So that's what happened. And I'm really happy for the new challenge, because it's a really competitive business as well. So I'm happy to start.
Yeah, no, and so I just wanted to say I wish you the best of luck of that, and I'm happy for you, and I wish you nothing but the best in that, and with everything in the future.
Thank you, thank you very much. It's very nice that you're doing that for your audience to talk about like the mindset behind soccer. I think it's a part where we don't talk about on TV or in the regular channels. They talk a lot about tactics
Mm.
and physical abilities of players, but to see the challenges, the mental challenges behind sports, it's very interesting. So thank you for doing that.
No problem. And like I said, thank you for coming on, and I hope you have a great night.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.